Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode. I am your host, Meredith Calloway, and my guests today are Fred and Stacey Baker of Dogwood Travel Designs. They are a husband and wife team. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into this conversation. One of the things that is really, go ahead and let's start with tell your story of how you came to be travel entrepreneurs.
Okay. For me, what it started with is a lot of travel agents go through is with Disney, starting with Disney. Our youngest son, who is now 22, he's on the autism spectrum. And for family vacations, that is the only place that he wanted to go, that he felt comfortable and everything. And they catered to him so well in his needs, including his gluten-free allergy, everything. So all our vacations were always to Disney. And because I got so well versed with Disney, I had friends, family, want us to plan their trips. So started doing that. Then I had a friend who actually owned an agency that was earmarked and all that, and worked for her for 4 years. But as I had return clients, they wanted to do other things other than Disney. So then got into, cruises and group celebration trips. And that's when I was like, I really like doing this. So that's how it grew. And once COVID hit, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be branded for a company that can be exactly what I would want to be. And we knew that he was going to eventually want to step down from his role and come with me full time, but it was years. We knew it would be a long entrance ramp for him. But that's how I got into it.
Very, very common journey of getting into travel. I really love the part about Disney and your son being on the autism spectrum. And I have heard that from lots of other parents that especially when you have a child where they're pretty severe on the spectrum, what I've heard is that there is something about the Disney environment where it's almost as if they're like, it just disappears for that time that they're there, and they're much more engaging, they're more interactive, they're more verbal, they're more present, they're more, I mean, I think they're always present, but
but happy. He was happy. And it was a stress-free place for us as a family.
To
have fun.
Just to give you, it's like a vacation for the mind for them.
And for us as a family, like I remember, because he was gluten-free before gluten-free was as readily accessible as it was. So every meal that we made took so much work at home because he had some other allergies. And so when we went to Disney and the chef would come out and be like, here's what we can make and we'll make it for you and bring it out to you, no matter whether it was a sit-down restaurant or a counter service restaurant, they would come out. Like for us as a family, it was the first place that it was like, oh, this really feels like a vacation because they're catering to our son the way we cater to our son. And except we're not doing the work or the dishes or all that stuff. And
and Disney cruising, that's really too what got us. He loved Disney cruises. Absolutely loved it. And so
I love that. I love that. And so you took this very traditional path of kind of falling into becoming a travel advisor. And, there's many different routes to take. And I think that's not that well known, is that there's just kind of more of a side hustle path that you can take. And that's one of the reasons why there are so many low cost host agencies out there, because there's such a high demand for, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I've got this other career. Let me just test the waters here, get into travel, see what can build, and if it builds into something bigger, maybe I'll take the leap and go in all the whole time, which is awesome that that exists. But it sounds like you guys got to a point in your career or on this path where you were like, you know what? I want this to be more than a side hustle. And so why don't you tell us about when that occurred and how I know you have a vision, but I want you to talk about your vision for the business and where you want it to go. And how did you come up with that vision?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
so
let you do
yeah,
this one.
yeah, yeah. So to back it up a little bit, for me, like, my love for travel started in high school. Spanish club in high school was doing a trip to Spain, and I joined the Spanish club so that I could take the trip to Spain. I was I was in Spanish, but I think I only had 1 year under my belt at that point.
That's
So
to do.
yeah. Yeah, and so I joined it, went to Spain, and fell in love with travel then, just the everything about it, and fast forward, through church, and I became a missionary and traveled a lot extensively in Central and South America, did some work in Europe and Africa, so got to see,
Russia.
in Russia, yeah, in Russia,
Very
got to
cool.
see a lot of the world that way in a not luxury type
Not
travel
that.
environment, but great experience nonetheless. And so then going into the church space as a pastor, which is my current full-time job, I've always done mission trips and been a part of that. But trying to seeing the gap in some ways in the travel industry, particularly in the luxury space of faith-based luxury travel, being able to go to places like Egypt and Europe and one day again soon, I'm hoping Israel, and being able for people
Mm,
to see those sites in a way that they're comfortable traveling in luxury is something that when we
Yeah.
started this, not too many people were doing. And so for me, it's this bridge of two worlds that I love. It's luxury travel and the church space of seeing people, walk in the streets of Ephesus and realize that, those roads have been there for thousands of years. And the people that they study of the New Testament walked on those very same roads,
yeah.
and just that connection to connect their feet to their faith like that is just this moment that's just surreal for a lot of people. And so as part of that, we do, our focus has been luxury ocean and river cruising, but then we have this other with groups, and then we have this other components that's groups with what we're calling ancient path journeys, where we do want to have people help people connect their feet to their faith. And as they the
That's fun.
places, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, as they explore the places that they read about in their Bible. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Been studied all their lives,
and having studied all their
Yeah.
lives, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what they realize is, when you're standing in these cities and you're seeing, like, you read in the New Testament about people walking from this city to this city, and, they say it takes days, and you realize it's, 15-minute drive, and you're like, "How did it take days?" "Well, because you were walking it. That's why it took day," you know? And so as they could begin to connect those dots, things just come alive for them.
So I have a question that just bubbled up as you were talking, and it's a deep question, which is perfect because this is the travel business unpacked. So we want to unpack
Let's
the deep.
unpack it. Yes.
um, as someone you're a pastor, your life is all about faith and creating a community around faith. Um, I know that there's some money mindset weeds that might come up with luxury and travel.
Yeah.
Like, how do you navigate that?
Work in progress, because, not even just from a faith perspective, but even from a growing up perspective, like, my mother
Mhm.
picked cotton along with her grandmother. We were raised
Wow.
to in many ways, not to value poverty, but to accept poverty as a standard way of life. Like, this is just
Yeah.
who we are. And then my mom was also one of the few females who built missiles. And so the movie Hidden Figures, showed the African American side of it. My mom was on the not African American side of it, but still being a woman in a male dominated industry, and the work she did was top secret. So as these two worlds collided, where she was raised poor, but yet she was also this trailblazer in her
Mm.
career. And she was one of the first people in her family. She has 13 brothers and sisters. She was the first one to have a master's degree. And so you had this trailblazing. What gets passed down to me, though, is all of that jumbled up together. And so for me, coming here and living in Asheville and pursuing luxury travel has been this work in progress of just that whole mindset. And really for me, it's a shift of a mindset from scarcity to abundance,
Right.
which are, to go deep a little bit, our God is not a God of scarcity. He's a God of abundance. And
Mm.
so for me to be able to tap into that and be like, it's
Mm.
okay. It's okay. Scarcity is not the way God operates, nor is scarcity holy. Um,
Right. I
so
love that. I
yeah,
love
so
that you have that mindset.
yeah, yeah. So for me, it's that, and actually, the moment that it became crystal clear for me, I was, we live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I was just kind of walking around the Biltmore because I can because we live here, and I
Right.
was yeah, and I was walking through the house one day. I popped in and wanted to walk around because there's artwork and stuff there, so it's kind of like my own little museum that I can go and walk
Yeah.
around in. And I was down in the servants' quarter. And if they have a table set up down there as if, the servants are about to come in for lunch or something. And I remember the thought of, "Oh, these are my people." And
Mm.
and and I just heard this voice go, Why?
Yeah.
Why is this where you have to see your plateau? Like, why is where you have to see why not
Where
the
you
rest?
belong.
Yeah, yeah, why do you just belong here? Why don't you belong everywhere?" And so for me, that was the beginning to kind of hull out, what is this mindset that thinks this is the best place in all of the property at the Biltmore estate?
Right.
So
I
that's what
love
kinda
that.
started.
I love that. I think it's so cool that you have that perspective because I do think there is a lot of um like badge of honor in scarcity
Mhm.
mindset in some faiths. And I was raised Catholic and it's very much the same in the Catholic Church is, you know, if you a lot of priests in a order will take a vow of poverty
Mhm. Yeah.
as if it's like holy to do that.
Right.
But I think it's misconstrued. That's not why it's not holy to be in poverty or to take a vow of poverty. It's considered an act of faith to believe that the abundance will come anyway, I think is really more what it's all about. And that I mean, I remember years ago, one of the game-changing very first game-changing moments in my entrepreneurial journey was attending a mindset workshop, and one of the things that came up was that whole concept of it even says in the Bible that money is the root of all evil,
Mm.
and I'm sure you will correct me, and that what came up was that it doesn't say that in the Bible. What it says is the lust of money
That's right.
is the root of all evil. It's not they're taking it out of context, and I think that's happens a lot in certain faiths, a lot of Christian faiths for sure.
Right.
And so it's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the lust of money that's the root of all evil. And it's not even evil towards others. It's evil that you're almost like denying yourself abundance. Um, so that's really cool. But it's a work in progress. So
Right.
you're still kind of struggling with that sense of guilt that we're asking people to spend all this money on travel. Um, but what have you learned? Like, is that a mindset that you had? And is there a new perspective that you have now about, like, yes, giving these people the opportunity to spend all this money on travel is actually a blessing? because if they have it, they can do it, and it's something they may never have done, and they're going to have an experience they may never have had. I think I just answered the question
Right.
of that.
Well, no, but that's just it. Like for me, it is, well, here's what I noticed. I noticed people were spending this money on luxury travel anyway,
Right.
except they were feeling like they had to separate that from their church life, their church, and not talk about it,
Yeah,
like
keep
not,
quiet.
yeah, not talk about this great trip that they had or whatever.
Mhm.
And to where I'm like, well, as people, as spiritual people, we are whole people. And so why do you need to hide that? Talk about it, enjoy it. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that's okay. Our job is to put the client first and give them what they're asking for, and
Yeah.
not try to upsell someone into luxury that doesn't want it or can't afford it, but also not trying to downsell someone who does want it and can afford it, but to give them the trip that they want too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a really fun little
Yeah.
trail that we went off off piste. Um, so you guys are a husband and wife team, and not only is that an interesting aspect of your story, but also, Stacey, you are full-time
Yep.
selling travel, devoted to the business, whereas Fred is still very much has a career as a pastor. I mean, that's your full-time career, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So
Right now, he's just working on Mondays and Fridays.
okay.
He's home working on really
Yeah.
more back
Mhm.
office
Well,
stuff.
that was gonna be one of the questions is, so how do you work that all out? How do you and not get a sense of resentment, right? Because one of you is all in and then maybe you get overwhelmed and need help, and then Fred's not there necessarily when you need the help because he's committed to something else, and, what comes up? And what are some ways that you've actually figured out how to navigate it differently?
Yeah.
I think having the
Yeah.
clarity on that Monday and Friday helps.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We also, at least it's been helpful for me, on Mondays, we've started having a staff meeting, just the 2 of
Ooh.
It's
us.
on our calendar.
It's on our
1 o'clock
1 o'clock
Monday
Monday staff
morning
meeting.
or Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so it clarifies who's doing what throughout the week, so and even into the next week,
Yeah.
so that if I have a big project that I'm working on for her, I can chip away at it in the evenings, or if I have a little bit of free time at work, I can chip away at it then. And so that clarity and communication has been helpful for me.
Yeah.
What's the resentful piece, the needing help when I'm not here? What's that been like for you?
Just sometimes it's hard, but,
Yeah,
that's when I'm like, "Okay, I need an assistant."
right.
You
Yeah.
know?
You need
So,
to be your assistant.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, but
He
not
might
really
could, but he
feeling.
might not really he doesn't really have to, live up to the job description.
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I definitely don't. But I tell
Yeah,
you when I do, it's when there's I have to make a phone call.
that I don't wanna
Yeah,
do. Then I'm
that's
like,
when
"He really lives up to it." But when I feel like he doesn't is when he takes all these breaks, and I'm like,
we work
"You have work to do. Get
we
going. Stop taking breaks."
we work very different. She will I don't know, she is a superhuman because she will start work and she can stay focused 5, 6 hours solid and
Yeah, 'cause I
not
wanna get
take
it
a break.
done.
I cannot do that. I do not have it in me to stay I will work for about an hour or so, and then I need to get up and walk around, walk the dog.
Or what he's good at, he does the laundry, he'll
Yeah,
switch the
yeah,
so I really can't complain,
yeah,
really,
Yeah.
because at least home stuff gets done.
yeah. I can't operate that. Because if I do, I lose attention and I lose energy. So I gotta get up and kinda move around and then get back to it.
Yeah,
So that's been different, and our work patterns are different.
yeah, yeah.
And do you think working together has put a strain on the relationship that you didn't expect? Or maybe it hasn't, and you've been surprised that it hasn't?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
because we have what, 26 years of
Yeah.
experience being married,
Yeah.
because
And he's a licensed counselor, so he went through so he knows how to if an issue
It was
happens,
like a
okay,
process.
yeah, we talk
talk
through
about
it.
it.
We
Yeah.
work through it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
You're bringing
helps.
So
that to the table too, Fred.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that does help. But I think as this, it is like marriage working together because it's this evolving relationship, because
Yeah.
we've never worked together before
yeah,
at this level. And so it's
Yeah.
always just checking in and letting her strengths be her strengths and my strengths be my strengths and trying to figure out what that looks like in a business.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I like to talk about the sales cycle having like 3 stages to it, where like the very first stage is just pure marketing and brand awareness, where it's the client attraction stage of list building, relationship building, getting your name out there. Then the next stage is the moment someone on that list reaches out to you with an inquiry, to the moment you take deposit for a trip, which is the true sales stage. And then the stage after that is the service delivery stage, right? Once you take deposit, now you got to kick into gear of actually delivering on the service that you're promising to deliver on. And there's tremendous opportunity between that time you take deposit and the time they travel, um, to be different than an online booking engine, because an online booking engine is going to forget about you, whereas you have the opportunity to manage expectations, fill in the skeleton of the itinerary, all of that. And then once they return from travel, they go back into that first stage of just keeping in touch with them so that they reach out to you when they're ready to book again. Have you outlined who does what? How do you know how to handle the business flow as it does come in?
yeah. For right now, because of what I did not like, I do not like doing social media, all that. It takes up too much of my time and brain
Okay.
space.
Same
So,
one.
and so that's why I just sent all that over to him.
Yeah.
So, but it was been hard letting that go because I am very particular about brand colors and fonts and how things look. And so
Yeah.
we've had to talk and go, okay, we don't use the color red on our font as a, so things that got posted. And I'm like, no, no, no,
That does not work with our brand colors, Fred. Are you colorblind?
Just creative.
Yeah, yeah, but here's the thing, but he got it out. See,
Yeah.
I will sit on it and design and tweak and waste
Right.
time, and it's not getting out. So
Yeah.
that's where it's
Mhm.
just been learning to let it go. It doesn't have to be
That's
his thing is always like, "Stacey, 80%. Do 80 you
yeah.
don't need to it doesn't need to
Good
be."
enough is good enough.
Yeah, that's what we call it Gitmo, good enough to move on. It's Gitmo, good enough to move on.
Yeah. So he's
I
taken that on, and he also, any of, commission stuff, record keeping, all of that. He's taking all that off my plate.
Great
I'm
stuff.
more client facing unless we're doing groups and we're hosting groups,
Mhm.
then we're both, you know, meeting clients via
Yeah.
Zoom and all that and talking. But otherwise, I do the client care and the systems and Canva design, which because I love Canva design. That's like a break for me to be able to do the fun design side. Uh,
It is, it's
yeah.
not for me.
Very cool. I love
So
Yeah.
that.
yeah. So
And
that's how
Um,
we kind of break our
and
roles up.
yeah, and so I think for those roles being broken up, it really was, a lot of the work that we've learned at GTN is, okay, where's your brilliance?
Yeah.
Then let's
yes.
design your job around your brilliance. And
Yeah.
so, for hers, it's design, it's research, it's details, it's,
Yeah.
mine is people, it is connecting, it is marketing, it is being
Yeah.
the face and the voice out there. And so that's what we do. And I do like financial stuff. I'm not afraid of some details, but
Yeah.
so I can do some of that. But that's how we divide it up. And then of course,
Yeah.
anytime it needs to be escalated, something needs to be
I
escalated.
send
I
it to
get
him.
that. Because what I've learned is that a lot of that escalation is relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's managing the relationship with the client and working with the relationship that you've already built with the provider to be able to move stuff forward. And so for me, escalation kind of falls under that relationship.
Yeah. And you can be even keel, whereas I start to panic if something goes wrong. So that's where
Yeah.
it really is helpful that
And in the world of travel,
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot can go wrong.
A lot
Yeah.
can go wrong.
Um, so I wanna put a pin I wanna talk about groups in a second, but I wanted to finish this with asking Fred, what is your vision for do you wanna stay full-time pastor for a while, kinda like MJ Markham? She's very, very happy to keep her oncology,
I don't
career,
know how she
profession.
does that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or is there a game plan?
So there has been a game plan, in the sense of, 3, 4 years ago at church, we hired an associate pastor for me to, become lead pastor on down the road. We did a 7-year transition plan. In the middle of that transition plan is when he becomes lead pastor, which is what my role is. Well, he takes the baton September 14th. So right after the conference, I am
Wow.
like, literally, I am flying back. We're having this big celebration that he's becoming lead pastor. I'm becoming a shepherding pastor on staff. So I'll still have some roles in counseling and groups and stuff like that. But then also, like, that's September 14th. September 15th, the church has given me a 3.5 month sabbatical. So I
Wow.
get to, I
Yeah.
get to step away from the church for 3.5 months, which we'll use that time to work on the business and such too, because our goal is really in the next 3 to 5 years for me to be full-time in the business. And so for me to continue to decrease the amount of responsibility at the church, and increase the amount of responsibility here. So there is a plan. It's just one of these plans that has a year that plan's gonna come into
Right.
fruition. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. That's exciting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that very next week, we take a group of 17 going on.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna use that time off.
Yep,
Guys, when
yep.
you
So
love-
we're taking a group, we're calling it one of our ancient paths, and it's, starting in Istanbul, but we have private tours set up just for our group that is faith-based, in Ephesus, to walk us through with an expert guide, and then, we'll visit some of the islands, but then we end in Athens, and so, again, we have faith-based private
Amazing.
group, and then a day trip the next day out to Corinth, which is another book of the Bible, a letter that Paul wrote and where he lived for
Yeah.
some
And
time.
who are you using? We always want to give kudos
Okay.
to partners.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, so we're sailing on Oceana Vista, so one of their
Nice.
newer ships, and then,
Great.
for Istanbul, we're using it's not a preferred
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
It's a
But in
yeah.
Greece, we are. In Greece.
Greece, we're using curated Greece is
Yeah.
who we're using
Awesome.
there.
Carolina Greece, fantastic. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let's talk about groups because I remember from even the first time meeting you guys that you that was a big part of your business plan was to get into groups, and it's very much a common goal for people, but you find less people actually doing it and succeeding and you know feeling challenged by actually filling groups and just getting that engine started can be really, really hard. So, how has that gone for you?
Slow. It
Mhm.
has been it's not
It's slow.
been as much as I had wanted it to be.
Okay.
So, and just personal things hitting me being slow.
Right.
Um, I've struggled with depression, so there's times that, my medication isn't working and I'm trying something different and it's not working, and so I'll just kind of slow down.
Pause. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of more just take care of clients, but not putting things out there. And then,
Mhm.
with having a son on the autism spectrum, he comes in a lot, and so
Yeah.
just interruptions and it's energy draining for me. I'm not one of those people that can work till 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, I'm done. So I have to be done. So I keep my evenings and weekends, So it's just been a slow process, but it's getting there.
It is getting there.
It's getting there.
And then have you, is this your first group or have you, so, I mean.
So, and then this group is even,
yeah.
and this group is returning. Some people from the first one are returning.
And they've already signed up for our next one.
We just announced another one yesterday. It went out publicly, announcement. We're hosting an ancient pass through Egypt as a faith-based, through those eyes. And so we already have people signed up that have been on our other trips. So yeah, it's
one in
coming.
September. You filled it, like you didn't have to cancel it.
Right.
So that's amazing because look, the year that I decided to jump into groups, I tried a couple of different things. I finally got a group that was successful. It was called the Soul Safari. So spiritual, not necessarily religious, but anyway, it was a very cool thing, and it was very successful. And I came back from that thinking, okay, let's do 6 next year. And I lined up 3 or 4, what do you call them? Pied Pipers. Really like quickly and pretty successfully. And none of them went. So it is absolutely, it takes its time, but I think that if it is taking its time, it's happening for you, not to you. And that, sometimes we just need to be patient with ourselves, and just trust the pace of that growth in the business, and that it's absolutely serving you that it's slower because, especially if, like you said, you can't work till 9 o'clock at night. If you had more groups that were, filling the way you wanted them to fill, you might be way more overwhelmed than you even realize. So.
Exactly.
And so, just trust the pace.
Yeah. And it's allowed me to refine, some of my systems, my workflows, which tool I'm going to use, so it's really helped.
And like I said, you also have done groups. So, I mean, not everyone can say that.
Yeah.
And you got one on the calendar, and how exciting, right?
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. And people know that we do groups, which is nice. So as people, reach out to us, because thinking about the small group we just did to Alaska.
Oh yeah, a few weeks ago we got
they're already
back from
thinking about, okay, so where
are we going next?
Where can this group go next? Who else can we invite and stuff? And so so that's fun.
Yeah, because if someone has a group, their own group in mind, and they know that you have already handled groups, I always talk about how project managing a group can often feel like herding cats.
We say herding squirrels, but
herding squirrels.
Exactly same.
Yeah. It's not easy, and it takes a very special kind of person to do it. And I think in my case, I am not wired to do groups. So the fact that those, 5 or 6 didn't happen was definitely a blessing in disguise for me.
Well, for me,
I think too, because we were both elementary school teachers. That's what we originally went to school for, and had our early years were elementary school teachers. So we kind of know how to start counting heads.
Yeah, we go into field trip mode real quick on a group. But, when we did the group symposium, was that 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, 23? No.
Yes.
23.
Yeah. There was this moment, this kind of light bulb moment for me, because up until that point, we hadn't hosted a group yet in travel, because we did
2022. November 22 was the first.
Then the symposium was before that.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
anyway.
know.
Anyway, or maybe we did. Maybe we had one under our belt. You're right. We had one under our belt because I remember, and that you may have asked it. I can't remember
I
who
think
asked
it
it,
was her.
Meredith, but you had asked, okay, so how many, how many groups have you led or something like that was the question. And, we were like one. We had done one. And then all of a sudden I had this thought. I was like, because just the way you framed the question, I was like, wait a second. Because as part of my missionary work, that's what I did is I pulled groups together and led these group mission trips all over
Right.
the world. And I was like, wait a second, I've led 30 plus groups.
Mm.
Right.
It's the exact same, it's a different context, different environment, but it's the same mentality for us as
Yes.
hosted leaders
Yeah.
when you have a group of, 20 people in Russia doing a mission trip or, a group of, 20 people in Greece touring around, like the mindset's the exact same. And so for me, it's like, wait, it's like, no, we know how to do this. I
Right.
know how to do, I've done a lot of this. And so a lot of that mindset comes back into play when we
And it
are
gave you
hosting.
the confidence, like, actually, we have a lot more experience than we're giving ourselves credit for.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah.
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 So let's turn it to a little bit of a fun topic. One of the things that Fred is known for in our community,
Oh.
you know where this is going,
Yes.
is the Fred in the shower videos.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
if you want to tell us, and it's not what you all think. He is a pastor, so
Yes.
get the minds out of the gutter, everyone.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us what that's all about and how that got started?
Yeah. So it got started at
Tiffany.
Tiffany
Watt.
Tiffany Watt we were about to do we were at the Asta River Cruise and Expo, and we were
Wow.
about to do some ship tours. And, so she was giving us some tips about, the pictures you take a picture of the room, take a picture of the room category so you know where the pictures are grouped together. And I think she's the one that said, take a picture of Fred in the shower so that people get an idea for the size of the shower in relation to me.
How tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Well, I mean, for those that, you're not even standing up, so
Right.
give us some
Yeah,
concept
so
of
I'm
your
6'1".
size in relation to your
Yeah.
proportion for other
Yeah,
people.
6'1", not a skinny guy. So, so some of those showers can be pretty tight. But that's where it started, was me in the shower, and it was that first round of.
And you were dressed, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah,
dressed.
fully dressed. Yeah, thank you for that. Fully dressed. And there have been
Yeah,
some.
just standing with his arms out.
Yeah, stand with
or-
my arms out, how wide it is this way and how wide it is this way, and in a really big shower, I'll stretch out, but that's what it is. And then posting those, and they've taken. I mean, it's not just the our community at GTN. Like people at church love them. I hear
Yeah.
from other pastors.
The suppliers. Suppliers.
Yes, I had a supplier
Suppliers.
sent me a picture of him in the shower, telling me, he's like, "Oh, you would love this shower," and I'm like, "Who? In what world? In what world is this like in any other context? Anything but scandalous. But here it's like, oh, great! Oh, that man looks like a great shower. Yeah,
Yes. So we're always on the lookout for more Fred in the shower videos. So
yeah. There's some that are about.
we got to get you going on more river cruises or
Yep.
coming back to Cruise Expo. So, one of the things that we pride ourselves at GTN is the community. And you guys, as you corrected me when we first started, that you didn't go through the Travel MBA program, which means that you started with another host, and it was more Stacey, your relationship with the other agency owner and how you got into it. And, but I always love that, there's never a wrong choice. And that when you're experiencing something that you don't want, it gives you clarity on what you do want. And so my guess is one of the things that you were craving and why you chose GTN was because you wanted a community. And I know that there was a time that really recently that really lifted you guys up. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, because we live in Asheville, hurricane or tropical storm Helene came through here and devastated our city. And it was the GTN community just rose up in a way that, we've never experienced it because we never needed to. And
Yeah.
and people were reaching out once we had cell service again, and they were reaching out and how can we help, GTN cares. I think kinda I don't know if it had existed before, but if not, it really amped up during that time of making sure supplies were coming to Asheville and other areas impacted by Helene. Vanessa specifically reached out to us and texted us and said, "Okay, what do you need? Like, what do people need
Yeah.
right now?" And because people were giving her money, and so she was going to Target, buying stuff and sending it up the mountain to us, and so it was an incredible experience for us.
So
Yeah.
you guys lost access to your home for how
Yeah.
long?
We were
A
out,
little over a month.
yeah, a
Yeah.
little over a month because we
Yeah.
had left for 10 or 11 days to go to her parents' house, and then came back to a friend's mountain house about an hour and a half away, and so I was
Okay.
Yeah.
commuting in, and so,
Yeah.
yeah, we were there for a month.
Yeah. Because our home was livable, but we didn't have power, water, anything.
Yeah.
And with our son, it was just too much.
Yeah.
It freaked
Yeah.
him out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
stayed away.
Yeah. And I remember you asking for help in terms of finding a place just to live
Yes.
temporarily, and
Yes.
everybody in the community was sending out your message to others,
That's right, yeah.
a little
Chiming
family
in.
in need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just the response was incredible.
Yeah.
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 And too, I got to see this on the church side because I get to see the donor list to see how many in the GTN community donated to our church as we were doing the Helene recovery work. And so, because I know those names and as staff, we wrote thank you notes and thank you emails to the people that we did have addresses that we didn't have physical addresses for. But they'd be like, "Okay, who is this person?" I'd be like, "Oh, that's a travel advisor at GTN. Oh, that's a travel advisor. Oh, that's a travel advisor at that's a travel advisor at GTN. Let me have that name. Let me have that name. I'll write it down. I'll write it down."
Uh,
And so just this really, yeah, great community.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you don't realize you need it until you need it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, and it's just one of the benefits of finding the right home,
Yeah.
finding the
Yeah.
right home.
And
Um,
and and one more thing too, talking about the GTN community, but even the GTN, like, ecosystem came out,
yeah,
like, partners were texting
Oh my
us and
goodness.
emailing us going,
yeah,
"Hey, come stay at my house.
Yeah. We had
Come
partners
stay at
say,
my
"Come stay
house,"
with
and
us."
we
um,
went to Cruise World
Uh-huh.
in was that
Oh,
December? Was that December when that was?
no, it was October.
Was it October? October,
Uh-huh.
November? So
Yeah.
it
End
was
of October,
yeah. Oh,
November.
that's
Yeah.
right, because we had just moved back to the apartment. Anyway,
It was
and
shortly after.
yeah, and when our partners that were at Cruise World saw us, I mean, it was like seeing your best friend. They hugged us. They were like, "How are you? It's so good to see you
Yeah.
face to face." Like, they had walked through this journey with us, just being
yeah,
part of the GTN ecosystem.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So as entrepreneurs now for several years, what are some things that you've learned that, someone considering this path that you didn't know when you were considering this path that you now know that, might be helpful to others?
Hmm. Um,
You've learned a lot.
it's
I've learned a
hard.
lot.
Yeah, it's hard. You gotta stick with it. Because before this too, I had my own business. I was a, professional photographer and had my own business for 10 years. And with any business, when you're the sole
You're it.
proprietor,
Yeah.
you're
Mhm.
gonna have slow times and fast times, and it just it does. It comes in waves and seasons, and so in those slow times, work on things on the back end,
Yeah,
So
Mhm.
yeah,
that's the biggest thing, work on the back end.
right.
Get
We
things
I
refine it.
say it all the time that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah,
And um, one of the things that I think is really important for people considering this and seeing, maybe some of these silver bullets or slick marketing to become a travel advisor and get paid for get compensated for the travel you're already planning. It seems like, yeah, well, becoming a travel advisor is unbelievably easy right now. And it's also very cheap. You don't
yeah,
have to invest much money at all. but building a thriving business with longevity, like a true career path, is a whole different story.
Yeah.
And that takes the ability to suppress your need for instant gratification.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really the reason why I selected GTN is because of the amount of support and education and stuff you
Mm.
provided. That's why I shifted over. So even though I didn't go through the travel MBA program, there were times I was like, I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but there were
Yeah.
people there that I could ask, and
Yeah.
I could post something and not feel stupid,
Yeah.
that I didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
You've been in this so long, you should know this by now.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about
Mhm.
GTN. It's just we're
Yeah.
we're a family.
Mhm.
We are. We are a family. So my favorite question to end, because believe it or not, we're at the top. We're
Okay.
actually over 45 minutes now. Um, is now that you're in this career path, um, I always say you can build a thriving business, but what's even more exciting is building this life that you love around a passion for travel. So do you want to share of a experience that you guys have had that you would never have had if you hadn't taken this journey and it was one of those like, "Oh my god, pinch me. I can't believe I get to do this for a living" moments?
I'll start and then
Good.
he can go ahead and finish. One of my favorite memories is with that first group that we took. And we started in Rome and did a pre cruise in Rome. And one of the extensions was to do a day trip out to Tivoli, Italy. And so Tivoli is it's more out in the country. It's where in ancient times they would go out of Rome for vacation. So it's this beautiful hill country, waterfalls, all this. And to be able to take the group there, and all we knew is we were also going to have lunch. But where they took us for lunch was on the side of a mountain. All the restaurants was all windows, but just a small locally owned.
Oh
And
my
we
gosh.
were all sitting at this big, huge round table. And I mean, it was amazing. You could just look
Yeah.
out and see it was a gorge. You're overlooking a gorge and there's
Oh,
waterfalls down there, and just to be able to take people and be like,
I know, and
"This
you're
is
doing
amazing."
it for a living.
Yeah, yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Oh, I love
So,
it. Love it.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah, for me,
Fred,
it was probably being in Ephesus and
yeah,
and
Mm,
and with a group of folks and, just that moment of standing where people we've read about for,
yeah.
that they've stood and, just that connection moment and being able to see a group have that connection too was just something I'm like, "I'll never forget this, and I want more of it."
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why you're gonna keep doing what you're doing because and the other thing I would imagine is because you are a pastor of community and you're doing these faith-based trips that, um, you get to go on trips with people that you just feel a real connection to, and the bond probably deepens with all of the friends that and colleagues that go on these trips with you. So
yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
yeah. It's neat. We just got back from taking a small group to Alaska, doing an Alaskan cruise. And it was the first time we got to travel with Fred's sister and her husband. They came on the trip. And we were talking to them afterwards, and they're already like, "Oh, we want to go back." And then they were talking about another couple who we know from church was on the trip. And they're like, "We missed them. They were so fun." And it's just creating
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
community.
Yeah. Traveling together can be really, really amazing. Just
Yeah.
absolutely worthwhile.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you both
Thank
for
Yeah,
you.
thank you for having
sharing and being a guest on today's episode. It was really delightful to hear more of your story and go deep. And I love that we even covered some mindset. So, thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you all on the next episode.